Heroes, here again with another quick toy review. Actually going to be looking at something that I've been saying for roughly a year now, I think, that I was going to do a little review over, and still got to get the guys together to talk about this, but I just wanted to do something solo after doing the Astro Megaship review, and just talk about the kind of first Beetleborgs merch item that had come out in basically like 25 years. This is the complete edition premium Bandai B Fighter B Commander. This is from the first season of B Fighter, the Juukou B Fighter, and of course known in the States and other places where Saban was distributing their shows as the Beetle Bonder from Big Bad Beetleborgs. As most of you guys know, this has been out for a little while, but I wanted to kind of give my perspective as more someone on the Beetleborgs side, and obviously it's Beetleborgs merch, so why wouldn't I talk about it? So, this is basically like the premium B-Fighter item to come out in 25 years. It is really one of the only B-Fighter things, to my knowledge, that had come out up until last year when it was released. I believe it was last year or the year before. Actually, no, you're right. I think it was about 2 years ago, 2021, I believe. I did pre-order this. I snagged it at a pretty good time. I ordered through Toku Collectibles. Highly suggest getting your import toys through them if at all possible. They have great prices. Their pre-order models are incredibly easy to follow. They have, you can make down payments and things like that, or do partial payment plans through their website, which, you know, huge shout out to them. So, let's start off by looking at the box real quick, because this is some beautiful box art. It's kind of crazy to see what I feel like could be original photos. These are obviously photos from the old show. These are some of the same promo poses and shots all around the box, even on the back. Big shot of Blue Beat, aka the Blue Stinger Borg. Complete edition Beetle Fighter. Some really good shots of the logo as well. I know a few people have scanned this box and the box for the Sonic Laser Blaster and the Data Bonder that have come out, and forgive me for not remembering the Japanese names for all of those. I'm not caught up on B-Fighter like I should be. So, we'll go ahead and start right off, and the first thing that I wanted to note that's a little weird is, so this does, just like the original, have electronics. And I actually, for comparison, well, let's do this first. So, as you guys know, the original had electronics, pretty simple sounds and lights. This one has way more going on, and I won't go over all of those because other people have done it better in their videos, but it has a huge selection of lights and sound, really impressive. And those are accessed on the back with the battery set. Now, you take a pen or a pin or a knife or whatever, and you have to poke down and depress this little, feels like a reset button, and that will reveal the battery pack on the back. And you're actually going to turn it on from here. I don't love this because it does make it a little bit of a pain to turn it off and on. Got a nice little sound effect when you turn it on. So, and then you just slide that back in, and that little pin will get depressed and pushed in. It does make it a little tricky, but not too bad. And what I was saying in comparison to the originals, I actually have a, so this is my Japanese B Commander, my original. I don't have batteries in any of these because I'm terrified of corrosion of these sitting on the shelves, but the Japanese version has just a real simple. Yeah. And that's why I don't leave the B Commander turned on, because it just makes sound effects if it stands still for too long. So anyway, the back of the Japanese B Commander from 96, or 95 rather, has a just real easy slide off and on battery case, whereas the American version, mine has been custom painted with a little bit of blue and some gold details. It has a screw in on the back. I'm going to assume that's probably due to some safety standards, in the US that weren't as prescient in Japan or anywhere else that this was distributed. But just an interesting difference that I noticed. So I'm going to, as I go, just like I did with the Astro Mega Ship review, I'm going to go through and compare to the original. I'm going to look mainly at the original B Commander because my American one has been repainted and my other American one is battle damaged. It looks like it survived a house fire. So, comes with quite a few accessories. I was a little bit surprised with how much it came with. So, first and foremost, one of the biggest differences is the way that the beetle horns are mounted or shown on the B Commander versus the original one. So, on this one, it does make a little nice sound effect. It came with 3 of the horn kind of modules, I guess. So you've got G-Stag, Rettle, and Blue Beat. And they just slide in like a cartridge onto the top there. Got a nice little, oops, backwards. Different sound effect depending on if you're putting it in or taking it out. Whereas on the original, if you all remember, they are all inside of the B Commander already. So G-Stag horns fold up and back, the Rettle horns fold down and in, and the Blue Beat horn folds down the middle. So I prefer a little bit more like a transformation device, feels a little more toyetic. That's just me. These are basically 1-to-1 scale. They are exactly the same size, and a lot of the aspects do feel like they could have been copied from the same mold even, which again, I'm okay with. The original is the same size as it was in the show. It feels like a 1-to-1 prop. This thing's going to keep interrupting me, so I'm going to actually turn off the sound effects for right now. And we'll turn the sound effects on later. So, the new one having the clips on and off. It's great, feels very solid. These are a slightly translucent black plastic, kind of a charcoal gray almost. Which is nice. It's reminiscent of the original, and feels very solid. Looks very nice. Does look and feel a little bit more like a finished prop. There's just a little bit more depth where the their black paint application has been applied in the crevices. Again, really does feel like it's almost, if not is, the same mold. There are almost no differences. All the same lines in the piping here. All the same lines at the top. It's just painted in. Even these little chrome red bits, they're identical. So it is a little surprising of the premium Bandai stuff that I've seen, of the more high-end toys that I have gotten myself or seen otherwise. This really feels like the most 1-to-1 to the original. Obviously, that only applies to kind of the silver front part in the wing sections here, because once you get into the back, while they are the same thickness, the electronics in the new one take up way much more room. This feels heftier. It's got much more weight to it. Feels more like a cell phone or a device. And it also has 2 buttons on the side here, reminiscent of volume buttons on a cell phone. Those activate a handful of different sound effects. You can activate the theme song. They've got lines from, I think, 5 different characters from B Fighter. Each of the 3 B Fighters, and they're both the mentor figures from the show, both the human one and Guru. So, obviously, the main gimmick of the B Commander is opening the shells. So that opens up beautifully. It's a very smooth motion, clicks in very solidly. And the interior here is really, I think, where this one stands out above the original. This has a translucent plastic over a red plastic with fully painted gold and silver circuitry designs. You can see in there just really gorgeous paint applications. Really feels like an electronic device. Very in-depth, very good looking. And what highlights that even more is the other set of accessories that this came with. So the premium Bee Commander came with 6 little Bee Fighter figurines that fit inside the Bee Commander. So it came with these fully painted versions that are fully painted all the way around. Very good looking. They've even got the red on the eyes painted. All the chrome detailing is painted silver. Really cool. And then it also came with a translucent set. Completely unpainted, same identical mold, but in translucent plastic of their respective colors. Really like that. It really gives a cool effect like what the transformation scene in the show looks like. And also a little bit reminiscent of some of the different figures that would come with the original. So with the original, they were actually more like little mini action figures. The only difference between the Japanese and the American versions, I actually have 2 versions of, I believe, the American release of Blue Beat, and then I have an American release and a Japanese release of G-Stag, aka the Hunter Borg. And then I think the only real difference is that one is stamped China on the back and one isn't. I don't think there's any other distinction to be made between those. And I think the American one is the one that gets stamped China. You can see that on here too. These are actually, I think this is the Japanese version and this is the American one. So, what you can tell with these guys is they have posable arms that go up and down. And they have posable legs that go up and down, because in the original 93 release you would have also gotten these figures with the vehicles, with the Beetle AVs, the Beat machines in Japan, and with the Beetle Battle Base, and a handful of other toys and accessories that you could have gotten. So these would have been made to sit in a vehicle as well as fit in the Bee Commander. So in the original, this is just a sticker applied behind. There are 2 lights, 2 green lights at the bottom, 2 red lights at the top, and you just kind of snugly fit as best as possible the figure in there, and then you close that up. With the new version, these are not lights down here at the bottom, these green ones, but I think the ones up at the top are, but there are lights all around this. And when you click this in, it actually depresses a button, but also these clips on the side here are slightly sprung. So it actually kind of holds the figure in more so than the original. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this guy on and just show you guys a few of the lights and sounds. And I'm just going to leave that back plate off. So the basic transformation when you crack it open. As you can see. So as you can see there, the color during the transformation actually changes depending on what horn is in place. So if you put in G-Stag and you put in the G-Stag horns, then it's going to have a green light inside. If you put in Rettle, it will have red lights inside. And I'll just do that real quick so you can see all 3 of them, since I showed green on accident to begin with. So then if we put Rettle's horns up top, turn it back on, and hit the transformation sound. See, got a little red light. And I'm not going to go through all of the sounds, but there are quite a few. It's a very significant selection. I've actually been thoroughly impressed with the number of sounds, the number of voices, and roll calls that are included. It really makes it stand out, I think, from the original in a way that otherwise I'm not sure it would have. The color changing of the lights, the selecting of the different voices depending on which B Fighter horn set you have in, reminds me a lot of the DX versions of morphers and rider belts that have come out as of the last, maybe 10 years or so, where when you insert, for instance, the Gokai Ranger, the Gokaiger and Mega Ranger. Mega Ranger? That's not right. Gokaiger and Kyoryuger. Jeez, sorry, I'm tired today. The Gokaiger and Kyoryuger morphers that I have both had the transformation devices of in the American and Japanese versions at one point. And when you insert their selected gimmick for that specific ranger, you receive a sound unique to that ranger or character. It's a little difficult to do that with the figurines being inserted, so I appreciate that they did it with the horns. I think it would have been just as easy to do it by having the horns still transform in, but I do think that that was due to wanting to really pack this chock full of electronics to be able to get as many sound effects that they could have inputted in here. And I think that does make a world of difference when you are comparing the original to the current one. Again, like I said, this was the first premium Bandai B Fighter item that came out. They've released a handful of t-shirts and posters and bags, all with printed designs from the show. They're all kind of in the style of the art that is on this box. Very dark backgrounds, lightning bolts of the various characters' colors, a lot of Blackbeat, aka the Shadow Borg, merch as well. They did not release and have not announced, as far as I understand, the Blackbeat version of the B Commander. There is a different version, and there was an exclusive one released in Japan. Obviously, we didn't see that in the States because Shadow Borg didn't have a Beetle Bonder, sadly. But there is a Blackbeat version of the B Commander out there from the original line, and I believe there's also a version of the blaster that he used that was more gold and black than just the plain black and silver, or pink and purple if you got the US version. That laser blaster has been released through Premium Bandai as another complete edition item. I've seen a handful of reviews out there. It looks really fun. It's not something that I latched onto. I think it has been out for, at the time of recording, only a short period of time, and even the reviews that I've seen, I think, may have been early releases. So again, that is, as far as I understand, at least at the time of recording, available through Toku Lectables is who I would suggest snagging that through. What was announced fairly recently was I believe it's called the Voice Commander, which is the B Fighter Kabuto, or Beetleborgs Metallics transformation device. That's a newer item. I don't know as much about it. I do know that it has the red cover that would go towards the auxiliary B Fighters, or as we knew them in the States, the Metallics Borgs. Astro Borgs. Jeez, I am just off of it. But yeah, that was the came with the Astral Borgs, and that was the one with all of the chips that get inserted into the bottom of the device and change what B Fighter you're turning into. So quite a few B Fighter stuff hitting the stores, hitting shelves, coming over for pre-order. Obviously, none of this stuff is technically getting official US releases. It's all getting brought in from importers, so you are going to have a pretty hefty shipping fee tacked on there most of the time. It's also going to hit exorbitant prices in the aftermarket very quickly. These guys on eBay are already going for upwards of $250 to $300 or $400 even, depending on who you're going through and how much shipping you're willing to pay. I'm glad that I got it when I did. And just like I said with the Astro Mega Ship, I do not plan on getting another one. I think I'm very content with this item. It looks great on my shelf with the 3 other ones that I have. So now I can have all 3 B Commander modes displayed, plus the new high-end version on the shelf. It's very fun. It's you know, I'm really hopeful that this means that more B Fighter stuff is going to get released. As some of you may know, Mega Beast Empire just finished fan subbing English subtitles for B Fighter Kabuto, and I believe they'd already finished Juukou B Fighter, or at least done most of it. So the unofficial releases of B Fighter have recently become more watchable and available. Meanwhile, there's still, to my knowledge, never been any kind of DVD or even VHS release of B Fighter in its entirety since the 90s when it originally aired. Beetleborgs got its full release through Shout Factory. It's sadly now out of print, and the last 2 volumes are hard to come by, but it is at least available. It has been out there, and it is in the aftermarket, whereas B Fighter purely exists in the digital format currently and has not been announced for any Blu-ray releases or anything. And knowing how the Hasbro Saban properties have kind of tangled the Sentai release schedules, and even things like Masked Rider and Kamen Rider Black and Black RX, I can completely understand. I could completely understand that a DVD or Blu-ray release of B Fighter could be made fairly difficult. The first 2 episodes of each season are available on Toei's Tokusatsu World YouTube channel, although you will have to VPN into a country like China if you are in the United States, Australia, or a handful of other countries where Saban distributed Beetleborgs. Much like quite a few other shows, Metalder and such like that were used for VR Troopers or anything used for Power Rangers, those seasons are going to be much harder to track down through any official means. As far as streaming goes, unless you are VPNing to a different country where the contracts through Saban and Hasbro don't have as much weight. So thank you guys for tuning in for this. I think I've covered really everything I wanted to go over with this guy. I think it's a great set. I'm really interested to see what becomes of the other releases. The Data Bonder and the Laser Blaster look great. Can't wait to see more reviews covering those. And I'd also love to see figures and more things released, and maybe even try for more official releases into the States, places like GameStop or something like that even. I think it's a completely attainable goal, and it really gives me hope that stuff like B Fighter and maybe even some Beetleborg stuff from Hasbro might be in our future, because if this exists from Bandai, there's not a huge reason that it can't get imported under the guise of Beetleborgs and some new audio thrown on here. I bet you somebody could hack this and put Flabber's voice on there. That's all. I'm just gonna say someone could probably modify the voice chip to put Flabber's voice on there. I won't say that I'll be trying to do it, but somebody probably could. But with that, I've been Cam from Big Bad Beetleborgs and Stronger Than Before, the Zeo Rewatch podcast. You can find all of my stuff on projectlouder.net. You can also find it anywhere on social media if you search Big Bad Beetleborgs or Beetleborgs Pod on Twitter, and Stronger Than Before podcast on Facebook and Instagram, where we post regular episodes. And Beetleborgs obviously has a 3-year-long backlog if you are just now getting into it. So if you're trying to jump into Beetleborgs, or if you just want a fun podcast to listen to, I highly suggest going back and listen to some of our older episodes. But thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time.